Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of this game you probably saw in the title. In this episode, I'm going to be showing how to do the actual rendering, and I might get into some of the movement, which is actually pretty simple. So the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure you don't have the game running, because that can cause Scratch to crash while doing some of this. So you'll want to make a new block. I'm going to call this render and make it run without screen refresh. Place the render block right here, and then inside of it you'll need for it to, first you'll want to get rid of these so you can see it. These you don't actually need to see, these are just things going on in the background that will help you figure out what to do. So now this I might change later, but I'm going to say 235 and 0. I'm pretty sure that the 0 won't change. Then say repeat, and then make the number in the repeat loop equal to this and the length of your list, because it needs to, for each thing in your list, create a wall based on that. So I'm going to say repeat 60, and then so I'm going to need to make it so that every time you do this afterwards, you move right to the right by 8, and I mean you as in the thing. Now the one thing is, before you finish this, you're going to want to put this right here, or else the game will completely crash. Now next what you're going to want to do is click this button in the bottom right hand corner, which will allow you to add pen to your game. At the start of the rendering, you'll want to erase all of the pen from your screen so that it doesn't show what's previously happened, and say pen up so that it won't draw where you don't want it to. Then you're going to say pen down and pen up, and then to change Y bys. So right now you're just going to see this. It's not going to change. But what you want to do is you're going to want to change this based on your list right here. I'm just going to move this to the corner. You don't need to display, I'm just going to have it. So for this part, you're going to want to make a new variable. I'm going to call it count, because that's what it does. It's like the clone count, but not with clones. You don't need to make it for this sprite only, but you could if you wanted to. I don't think you're going to need to use it anywhere else, but you're going to set it to 0 here and change it by 1 right here, very similar to the clone count. What you're going to want to do is change these based on the item of the list. So you're going to want to grab item of distance to wall. So now as you can see, they change slightly as you turn around. So what you're going to want to do is multiply this probably by like 10 or something. And you're also going to want to make it be item count. So as you can see, it changes, and then also if I replace the second one with it, it changes quite a bit. Now the one thing is, I think 10's too high. A lot of these numbers, since I'm doing this for memory, probably be changed around a lot. But as you can see, it bumps up and down. Now the thing is, you want this one to actually be negative and double this one. So if you use 7, it would be negative 14, or 10, it would be negative 20. Now, so you can see it kind of works, but then it just goes down to the bottom. So you'll finally, right after that, want to say set Y to 0 so that it will recenter. Now as you can see, this kind of looks like a wall a little. I'm also gonna say I'm gonna try negative 240 and see if that works. Yeah. And then what you're gonna want to do is, since you don't want it to be a bunch of lines, you can say set pen size to, and then I think whatever this is will pretty much work. So if I do 8, as you can see, it looks similar to a wall. But the one thing is there's no shading. It's the only way you can tell how far something away is just based on how tall it is. Now the one also thing is, as you can see, when you look in the corner, it's farther away. This is farther away, meaning it should be smaller, but it shows as taller. So what you can do is get a minus, and then say like, I don't count of distance to wall, but that's like, could do like 10 minus that or something. Let's see what this would do. And as you can see, it's really small, so like 50. Oh, 50 is way too tall. I'll just do 20. So now as you can see, when you look in the corner, as you can see, it's kind of looking in the corner and it gets shorter. It's looking at the closer wall and it gets taller, and the corner is smaller. Which is, like in real life, if you're looking at a far away object, it'll be smaller than a same size object nearby. The next way you're going to want to do is set pen brightness, and you're going to use pretty much the same thing as this, but like, let's try times 5. So as you can see, it gets slightly darker in the back, which is kind of what we want. You can also, if you want to, I guess, just do like this, and then it's like darker close up. I might have done that in my previous project. Also, something I just noticed is that it goes like this. Oh, I just realized why. So you're actually going to want to have this right here. And now the shading won't be really off. As you can see, yeah, it works. Except I'm gonna turn this back to this for now. But what's the point of this if you can't actually move? If it's just a rectangular room that you're stuck in. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add movement. No, this is pretty simple. All you need to do is if key and then up, or I'm also going to have W because I want it to include people who use either controls. So up or W pressed, and then you just need to say like, now you might think to move 10 steps or something, but actually 1 works quite well. Now the thing is, you also don't want to get stuck in a wall because it kind of lags out a lot. So what I'm going to say is, if touching wall, so that if it's touching the wall, you just don't move. And you can do that by moving -1 steps, so you don't have to turn around twice. So as you can see, even though I do have this movement code in, and even though it should be allowing me to move, it's not, and I just realized why, and it's very simple. So what you need to do is have 2 variables called location X and location Y. Now you can actually have them as anything. You could just have them as X and Y, or like something else X and Y, but you need to have both of them. And then what you need to do is have these and set location X and location Y to X position and Y position. And what you're going to want to do is, before it goes to the center, set both of those variables so it saves where your X and Y were. And at the end, go to your X and Y position. Now you can move. And as you can see, the walls really far away are really dark, and the walls really close up are bright. Now you can mess around with this and like say like 8 and -16, and then now things are slightly larger. I think it might work with 9 and negative 18, so that it's like when you go to this, you might want to use this, because then when you go to a wall, it's like almost like your face is like, it almost covers your entire screen. Now I'm gonna also expand the map and show that you can do more than just a rectangle with this. So as you can see, this is very far away and it works, but then when I look at something far away, it appears huge, which you don't want, and I'm gonna do that now. So something I might do is you can say like 30, I think, maybe, and then say like 7. Actually, I'm gonna say 6 and see how this works. So you go right up to a wall, it gets big. Now this, you might be thinking, wait, what's the point? It still gets really big when far away. And you're right. Like, it gets less big, but what you want to do is, this is basically happening because it decides that it's negative, basically, because it's 30 minus. So if it's more than 30 like scratch pixels away, it'll start getting bigger. So there's a really simple way to fix that, which I'm just going to move some stuff away, and it's in the ray trace. And all you need to do is say, if distance to player is greater than 30, or whatever number you have right here, then, oh, oops, don't add comment. Then instead, replace item clone count of distance to wall with 30. So now, as you can see, when it gets far away, it just becomes a line, like, and you might not want this either. Now, there's one simple way you can do, which is like to set it to like 99 or something, and then to just say, if it like is less than 99, if this is less than 99, then pen down. So now, if this works, when you look into the distance, they disappear. And that's a really simple way to do it. But for the way I'm going to be doing it, which, since I have lighting so it gets dark when it's far away, I'm just going to have it so that the background, I'm just going to convert to bitmap and then fill it with black, then convert to vector. And now, as you can see, it appears that it just fades into the distance. Now you can do lots of lighting. I have the lighting slightly different in my other game. I think I have it so you can see farther, but if you want to have like a maze, this could be good because you can't see very far away. So it's kind of mysterious on where you are. So this could be useful. You could also make it brighter, which I might do for different purposes. Now, one other thing is you might not want it to be blue. And there's a really simple way. If you just set pen color up here and then choose the color, like if you want it to be red, just set it to red. Now there's red walls. If you want the walls to be grayscale, you can do that. That's what I had in my other game. I just set it to white, but then made it darker after a while. But you can also color your walls. Like, you can make it any color you want. If you wanted to, you could even make it like rainbow. So what you could do is say, at the start of game, you can just say like, that's weird. But you could say like set pen color to this and then change pen color by 1 and now you have rainbow walls. There's all sorts of things you can do. Now there's one final thing I'm going to be showing in this episode, and that is if you don't want the minimap to show. Now because I have this as the background being pure black, I'm going to change the colors of the arrows to become pure white so that you can then see it. I'm also going to do the same thing with the wall. I'm actually just going to do this. If you just drag over all of it, then you can do it all at once. Now as you can see the minimap. But let's say you're making a maze, but you don't want the person to just be able to look up here in the corner and then just follow where to go based off of that, because that makes it way too easy. So what you can do is at the start just say set ghost effect. Now you can't hide, as hiding it will get rid of collisions and make it so you can know so that it won't work. But if you say set ghost effect to 100 and set ghost effect to 100, then now you can also make a slider, which is just if you have a variable, double click it and double click it again, and then you can right click it and change the range, and then if you just set the range to become 0 to 1 and then have ghost effect be that variable multiplied by 100 so that you can toggle it on and off. But I personally think that you should just not have it if you're making a maze. But if you're making something that would actually have a minimap be useful for the player, that might be something you want to have and not make it hide. So that's all for this episode. Probably in the next episode I'll go over like other stuff, like having multiple levels and death areas, maybe even some like other things. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and that's all for this episode.